Welcome back, everyone. Joining us right now, we have Democratic Congressman Adam Smith of Washington. He, of course, the ranking member on the House Armed Services Committee, as we continue with the theme of this hour so far. Sir, welcome. The White House clearly wants this incredibly visible standoff in a major sanctuary city. And the Wall Street Journal editorial board writes, California Democrats' response to this weekend's protests are playing right into the White House's hands. Do you, sir, see this as a tipping point for Democrats? I'm curious the role that your party is planning to play with tensions so high.
Well, there's really three things going on here. The most alarming of them is that Donald Trump is using this as a pretext to gain greater control over the military. Look, this is a substantial step towards an authoritarian government when the president thinks that he can use the U.S. military, both active duty and Guard and Reserve, as sort of his personal police force. Look, a lot of the MAGA people lamented on January 6th that they hadn't used the military, basically to overturn an election and steal the government. So that is the most concerning thing. The second piece of it is what you allude to. Donald Trump sees this as a conversation about immigration and crime. And those are two subjects he wants to talk about. Politically, that's where he wants to be. He doesn't want to be talking about his budget that's going to cut Medicaid, deny health care to people, drive up the debt through the ceiling. He's trying to sift the subject to things that he thinks are a positive for him. And that is concerning from a political message standpoint. But the much bigger concern is this is the use of the military on a very, very small whim. There was not a crisis here. And I think it portends what Trump wants to use the military to further advance an authoritarian takeover of our government. That is the biggest thing to be concerned about right now.
Congressman, we have the LAPD, which says they were not formally notified that Marines would be deployed in Los Angeles, adding their arrival presents a significant logical and operational challenge for local law enforcement. I'm curious the risks, first of all, of such a significant disconnect between local and federal leaders, law enforcement and the military. And when should active duty Marines be called in for domestic support?
Yeah, pretty much never is the answer to that second question. I mean, I suppose if there is an actual military invasion or a civil war, you could get into that conversation, but certainly not over a protest of about 100 people over immigration law. So it's not appropriate, and it is dangerous. There's a lack of coordination amongst law enforcement, but also the Marines are not trained for this. They're sent down there. They don't know exactly what to do. They're making it up as they go. And lack of coordination between them, the local law enforcement, Guard and Reserve is very dangerous. But again, not to keep coming back to the same point, that's not really the point. Trump is trying to establish greater power.
Congressman, you said they're making it up as they go. I'm curious on the way these Marines will be utilized. Again, these are Marines, they've been trained in use of lethal force. NBC News has new reporting the troops will be escorting ICE agents around L.A. as some sort of security, providing some sort of logistical support. But you may have heard our White House correspondent, Monica Alba, who said they're still trying to nail down the details. What would be an appropriate use, if any, for them in those roles?
There's no appropriate use. As you said, they are trained basically to kill. They are trained to fight in war. They're not trained to enforce the law, specifically because they're not supposed to be. So, yeah, no, they are not trained for this mission. And that creates a massive amount of danger. Now, one other point is I think it is worth saying, how do Democrats respond to this? I think we need to point out the authoritarian nature of this. But, I mean, Trump is trying to play up the immigration law enforcement issue. And I think it's important in L.A. and elsewhere to say, yeah, we can do this. We are going to protect our citizens. If a group of people try to shut down a freeway, we're going to clear the freeway and we're going to arrest people. I think it's important to let people know that we are capable of enforcing the law, and we will. And in the past, I don't think that Democrats in certain areas that we've controlled have necessarily done a great job of that. It's giving this opening to Trump, but we can easily take it back by focusing on the problems with what he's doing and on the fact, as Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass have said, we got this. We can handle this. And in this case, there was no evidence whatsoever that they couldn't. It was not a situation that was out of control. Trump jumped the gun to try to establish his power and his control inappropriately.
And they said they didn't need him. All right. Congressman Adam Smith, good to see you, sir. Thank you so much.